Thank you, Paul. Right, I'm going to go to Alison, please. Alison.
Thank you very much, Chair. I've got some questions around the problems around accessibility of the bounce back loan schemes. And I'd like to start, if I could, with Amanda Murphy from HSBC. And in a June survey carried out by Money Saving Expert of bounce back loan applicants, HSBC scored quite poorly. And that's borne out by my own casework as well. I've had more complaints about HSBC than any other bank. Could you explain why this has happened?
Yes, thank you. As one of the very few banks that remained open, not just to our existing customers, but to other banks' customers as well, we were simply inundated with requests throughout the process. At one point, there were over 10,000 requests per day coming in. And despite the huge efforts we made, and that included mobilizing much of our colleagues into jobs they hadn't done before, employing external resource augmentation to help us. Despite that, the sheer scale simply led to delays, and I would never be complacent about that. And at a time when it was so difficult, the frustration of business was evident and was very tough on myself and my team. But in the context, and I do have to bring us back to the context, we've let more than 223,000 bounce back loans, and the vast majority of those received those loans within 48 hours of returning their signed letter. And for those that experienced delays, they typically were the more complex cases, or there had been mistakes in the completion of the process, the application, or they were more complex legal entities that meant we had to do a further check to ensure businesses were legitimate. And I think one of the things that is always a balance is the balance between accessibility of funds and the speed and pace at which we make these available, but also protecting not just HSBC, but protecting the industry and the taxpayers from potential risk down the track.
And thank you for that. Have you cleared the backlog yet? Because I still have constituents that still appear to be waiting.
I still have approximately 3,000 customers. As of Friday, I had 3,000 companies who were banking with other banks who wanted to open bank accounts with us that we were still working our way through and to provide them access with to loans. I've opened over 60,000 accounts for other banks' customers who chose to come to us.
And when do you anticipate clearing that backlog by?
This week. That backlog should be cleared this week. I'm very keen, Susan eloquently stated earlier on some of the long hours that many of our colleagues have worked, and I'm really hopeful that while balancing our need to support businesses and very cognizant of that, I'm really very hopeful that I can allow some of my colleagues to get a Christmas break and spend some time with their families in recognition of also the work that they've done this year.
Okay, and I would agree that all staff that have worked all the way through should be entitled to that Christmas holidays, very much so.